Scientists at the forefront of discovery who are able to predict these kind of catastrophes more and more often with more and more accuracy. That's it for this week's Awesome Planet. I'm Philippe Cousteau. We'll see you next time.
In this episode, there are warning signs of potential disasters and evidence of previous catastrophes.
That's what we really care about, right? Is where's the asteroid going?
Join me, Philippe Cousteau, as we explore the possibilities of extinction Earth on Awesome Planet. Planet Earth provides an ideal habitat for life. The temperatures are tolerable. The air is rich in oxygen, and fresh water can be found in abundance. But as hospitable as our planet is today, there are some scenarios beyond our control that could be catastrophic.
Welcome to Awesome Planet. I'm Philippe Cousteau. Yellowstone National Park is famous around the world for its photogenic wildlife and natural, serene landscapes. But hidden beneath the surface is a world that is far less tranquil.
Yellowstone National Park is part of the Rocky Mountain Range, located mostly in the state of Wyoming. Fully half of the world's geothermal features can be found here. Hot springs, fumaroles, mud pots, and geysers all exist because just beneath the surface is a huge pool of molten hot rock. It's called a supervolcano. On the northwest edge of Yellowstone is the Norris Geyser Basin. This land is dotted with hundreds of geothermal vents. Here we are in the month of May, and it's snowing and sleeting, which gives the Norris Geyser Basin an almost surreal look.
Nevertheless, it's still beautiful.
Scientist Jake Lowenstern has been taking measurements of the geysers here for years.
It's kind of nice that the steam coming off, the warm steam helps to warm us up a little bit.
Yeah, there's quite a few geysers in here. This is one of the areas at Norris that has the most geysers.
Why are all these measurements so important to get a sense of what's happening here? Why does that matter?
You know, this is a big volcanic system, and it does erupt. It's erupted in the past, and it could erupt in the future, and we want to understand what are the normal processes here so that we're more aware of what happens when things really get more exciting.
There's a real concern that a massive volcano could erupt here. A volcano so large, it would cover much of North America with thick ash and radically change the climate of the entire world. Under Yellowstone is a pool of magma that scientists have measured at 50 miles long and 18 miles wide. That's an area 3 times the size of New York City. In the past, Yellowstone has experienced several supervolcano eruptions. The most recent one occurred 640,000 years ago. The question is, are we due for another eruption?
It's like a meteorite hitting the Earth. It's one of those things that happens very, very infrequently, but if it happens, it has global consequences. It puts a lot of material into the atmosphere. It changes the weather a bit globally.
In 1980, when the Mount St. Helens volcano erupted, it spewed 520 million tons of ash into the atmosphere. If a supervolcano were to erupt again at Yellowstone, it would produce 2,000 times more ash than Mount St. Helens.
what kind of indications would there be before an eruption?
Well, before any kind of eruption here, you can have a lot of earthquakes. They're going to be big earthquakes. They're going to be intense in a certain area. Some big explosions would occur. These are the kinds of things that we would look for. We monitor for everything, and we have really good monitoring systems. We would see things probably weeks or even months before there were actually a volcanic eruption here.
So we'd have some warning.
We'd have warning. You'd be hearing about it.
Scientists agree it could happen. What they're working so hard to understand is, could it happen 1 million years from now? Or could it happen much sooner?
Walking out through this field of geysers gives you a real sense of just how powerful Mother Nature can be. The dynamic forces beneath the surface of the Earth, and why the science that's happening here is so important. We're not far from a caldera, a super volcano that erupted 2 million years ago, 50 miles long, and changed the face of the planet. It's a remarkable concept and reminds us the research that's happening here is so important so that we have the potential to be able to predict those kinds of catastrophic events before they happen.
The most famous attraction here at Yellowstone is the geyser called Old Faithful. About every hour, boiling water gushes 150 feet into the air.
You know, one of the best parts about Old Faithful is that it gives us a sense, just a little taste of the raw power that exists beneath the surface here in Yellowstone.
A huge pool of molten hot rock sits just beneath the surface here. It causes the groundwater to boil and eventually explode through cracks in the Earth's surface. The Norris Geyser Basin has a variety of these geothermal features, including bubbling hot springs and steaming vents.
Although, of course, I was here 40 years ago.
Geologists like Peter Cervelli are conducting research to better understand this volatile area.
There is a lot going on beneath the surface.
There is.
This area, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, we seldom, if ever, get direct access to that world. So what we learn about that world is from indirect methods. Methods like setting up seismometers and GPS receivers.
One thing scientists have noticed is that the surface around Yellowstone has been rising a few centimeters every year. And a dramatic rise in the surface might be a sign that a supervolcano eruption is imminent.
We do have a substantial network of GPS receivers which measure ground motion, and we also have many seismometers that are measuring earthquake activity.
Sudden temperature increases in the hot springs might also be a warning sign.
So we're going to go over here to Emerald Spring and use this instrument to get the...
Now, what is this?
This is a thermal imager. It actually can tell the temperature and depict the temperature contrast in this display here.
That's like in the movies.
It is. So this instrument allows you to take spot temperatures, and you can see as the fume comes and goes that you get some really hot readings here. I'm getting some as high as 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
One can just imagine all the kinds of uses for this infrared imager.
This is science in the field. All right, I'll check this out.
Turn. Not so much.
Not really. All right, let's try this.
All right.
On the screen, temperatures are displayed as colors, with cold temperature displayed as a bluish tone.
Yep, that shows up.
That is very cool.
Will there be another supervolcanic eruption in Yellowstone? We don't know.
What kind of damage would that cause?
Well, if you were right here, the damage would be catastrophic. You would die.
So something of this scale could conceivably impact
The world. And you might very well actually create an episode of global cooling.
Scientists predict that the ash in the atmosphere could lower temperatures by 15 degrees, with disastrous impacts on life all over the world. Crops would be ruined, possibly for years. And sulfuric acid would cause acid rain, contaminating our water supply. It would be an unimaginable natural catastrophe. Up next on Awesome Planet, we'll look towards outer space in the search for a terrifying potential threat from above.